2 horas, 18 minutos. A gente segue com os impactos dos problemas nos aeroportos de São Paulo, em aeroportos de outros lugares do país, como, por exemplo, no Rio de Janeiro. Diogo Bugalho, boa tarde.
Boa tarde, Tatiana. Boa tarde, Fernando. Centenas de pessoas ainda esperam por atendimento nos balcões das companhias aéreas, nos aeroportos do Galeão e Santos Dumont, para tentar remarcar os voos aí afetados pelo caos na malha aérea causado por esse ciclone em São Paulo. O aeroporto do Galeão recebeu desde ontem 31 voos desviados de outros aeroportos, o que superlotou os terminais. Muitas dessas pessoas ainda não conseguem passagens para seguir para os seus destinos ou voltar para as suas casas. No total, foram 33 voos cancelados desde quarta-feira. Só hoje, 9 chegadas e 9 partidas canceladas. Pouco antes das 11 da manhã, eu mesmo estava lá e
better go to the staff of the team, to the hierarchy of the team, and try to disrupt, because for them it seemed they're clearly not in agreement as to the path the club has taken. So that's why the pressure is on Ineos. Because these fans, they're not going to be any happier if the situation keeps on getting worse.
We saw it the same with Marseille. They set their training ground on fire, didn't they, a couple of seasons ago? But nothing to do with the players. This feels like a new low.
This is a new low, yeah.
This is the scenes when they lost at the weekend, their 7th straight loss to Angers. It was booze at the full-time whistle. It was awful. And to be a player on the pitch, Nige, to hear this from the few fans that were actually there, has got to be a really difficult moment for the players.
It's definitely difficult for the players. It's a difficult situation. I mean, you can see the frustrations there. The fans are booing. They're very passionate fans. But again, you've got to look at everything about the sense of investment-wise. Has it been done right? And again, even with the incident that occurred, I would say that I probably would like to see a lot more stronger response from the ownership group condemning the whole situation that occurred with your players. I felt that it was kind of like a very simple statement. We don't condone it, very simple, but I think stronger actions need to be taken to show that you're supporting these players in a more strengthened way.
You know what's kind of sad? It's just every time that we get to broadcast Nice in the Europa League, we go to the stadium, you get incredible atmospheres throughout Europe, and you go to Nice, stadium's empty or half empty. There's not that many fans in the stands. The team doesn't play well. Just everything that envelops Nice at the moment, it's kind of pitiful. And this is a club that not so long ago was vibrant. So it's just a shame that so quickly, it's incredible. It kind of comes to show you how quickly in football things can go sour.
Yeah.
Well, we thought last season in this competition was a blip for them, but it's just matched it, if not got even worse. It feels like a real dark cloud, doesn't it, over Nice right now. Well, stay with us after the break. This season, both the Glasgow Giants, they've navigated a lot of obstacles on and off the pitch, and tonight marks the European coaching debut for Celtic's newest manager, Wilfried Nancy. We've got our weekly check-in with the Scottish clubs in just a second. Welcome back, everybody, to the Golasso Show. Well, it was not a good start, was it, Chuck, for Wilfred Nancy and Celtic this past weekend, losing against Hearts at home for only the second time since 2009. Here is a look at the highlights from that game. You gave us all the hype around Wilfred Nancy coming in to the Celtic job. How do you feel with this result being his first?
I mean, you can't really help that if you're a coach. I mean, that's just getting beat in a 1v1 duel there. Remember, Wilfred Nancy's coming in to change the system, change players' positioning. It was never going to be a come in and instant fix. This is going to be a process. You need to give this man time. And here he is with the tactics board. You know, there are coaches nowadays who bring this out and get absolutely crucified.
I mean, we saw it with Ruben Amorim, didn't we, when they lost to Grimsby Town, Manchester United. Is this
Grimsby, fourth-tier side?
Is this harsh then, Nico, do you think, or is this just the press in Europe that he's going to have to get used to?
I think he gets extra heat because he's a foreign manager. When I say foreign, I mean comes from a not European CV, right? He made his name in Major League Soccer, and I think despite all of his success, European fans still want to see him prove himself in Europe, and this is a tough job. It's almost like Celtic decided to hire him at such a critical time, or at least give him that first game. Yes, all of that is fair game. It's the memes and all this. I think Nancy doesn't care in the slightest that they're making memes connect for. Like, that's so unimportant. But it's the hot potato aspect of it all. It's like, all right, the club is in a better position. Here's the hardest game of the season. The most important game of the season. Take it, Nancy. One training session, go. And odds are it's going to be much more difficult than easy to get a result at home. Maybe you would have won a little bit better, but they dominated in certain aspects of that game. And now you have Roma. We talked about it. We talked about this last time that we were here. It's a extremely complicated run-in to make that first impression, and obviously it hasn't been great.
That's the big point you make there, Nico. First impression, he failed. He shouldn't have done that. You talk about the press conference and how he handled that. It's not great. You're not managing a regular club. This is what we said about it. Even with Celtic, where they are right now, realistically,
what didn't you like
football,
about the press conference?
I think the press conference was good. Your job is to win football matches. And you get one opportunity to make a first impression to the fan base and the people and the Celtic fans, because there was already a negative element with him coming to take over Celtic Football Club, because people don't know about him. I felt he should have just kept it about we need to win football matches. This is what this club is about. I personally would have not have taken over that Hearts game. I would have let the regular staff that was there take over and watch as your first, to go in for one training session, to play top-of-the-table Hearts and to take over straight away and change things, I don't think was a bright idea. And that's on him. He could have said, listen, I'm coming, but let's let the staff that are there currently, the club were on a good run at that point, let them carry on this game,
yeah, but then what
and I'll
do you
take
do
over
today,
that after that.
Because then they're playing Roma, and you would say if they didn't play Hearts for the weekend, Roma's a tough
But you've still got a week to prepare as a manager. You can sit back and learn more about your players.
What if that wasn't an option?
I'm sure it probably was an option. I'm sure it's an option as a manager. When you're negotiating there, you could put these in. You could see what's coming up ahead. You've got Hearts. What benefit is it to you to have one training session taking over Celtic? This isn't any other club. This is Celtic you're taking over. You know, or have to know, and expect that these things are coming when you manage Celtic Football Club. They want you to hit the ground running. There is no time.
What I'm telling you is, if there was not an option, if he had to come in and manage, and that was the expectation, what did you expect him to do? Not play
I wouldn't change anything. It's to say, we've seen so many managers do different things. We've seen Ange go to Nottingham Forest and then try and change and implement his style of way when it was working under Nuno. Sometimes you've just got to use your own common sense, your own intelligence as an adult. For me, they're on a winning streak. It's top of the table. I understand you want to have your input. Leave it as it is. Or sit back, then you give yourself a week. Charlie, you can sit up, learn from your players. This is the top of the okay, you learn more. Then you go into a tough game already, Roma. Now you started on a losing feet already with Hearts. You've got the memes, like you said, he doesn't care about. You've got the aspect of how he handled the press up, which did not play well.
In a lot of scenarios, I do think it's easier said than done. You know, you're coming in, you're saying, the reason I'm coming in is because the attacking football is lacking. The style is lacking. They might have gotten on a little run with Martin O'Neill, but at the end of the day, fans are like... It was
more than a little run.
Sure, but Celtic fans are like, this isn't great. The board was like, we need something that's long-term.
Yes,
and that's when he jumps in.
But then you've jumped in too early. You're still going to be there. Like I said, you give yourself a better standing foot to start off that break.
Now it does feel like he has obviously got this game today, and it's a really difficult position for him to be in if he loses another
again,
match and he's lost back-to-back
100%.
with the headlines as written as they are already. Rangers, just very quickly, they're not on the best of run in Europe either. They've got Ferencváros. They've lost their last 4 away matches in all European competition. And Ferencváros with Robbie Keane, who used to obviously play for Celtic, Chuck.
And he killed it here in Major League Soccer for LA Galaxy. He has done an incredible job. I don't think anyone anticipated him from going to Maccabi Tel Aviv to Ludogorets and having this type of success. It's a different type of path for a manager that's so well known globally, his presence, but he's cutting his teeth. He's doing it now here with Ludogorets in Bulgaria, and I'm really impressed with the way that Hungary, how he's managed to do it for Ferencváros.
Building his stock, and his stock's rising.
It sure is. Rangers need to turn things around, though, don't they? And Danny Roll needs to get this team rolling. Well, in this expanded Europa League tournament, matchday 6 sees the league phase starting to reach the business end. The knockout rounds there around the corner, and every team is still searching for that one defining result. Let's see what's in store for us tonight. Welcome back, everybody. Just a reminder of all of the 9 matches that we've got kicking off in this early slate of games in the Europa League, including Nottingham Forest. They're on the road to take on Utrecht tonight. They're 17th in the Premier League. They lost against Everton at the weekend, and it looks like a couple of the players are getting lost as well. There's Nico Williams and Elliot Anderson.
Yeah.
They don't know where they're going.
They're completely lost. I have no idea. Nico Williams and Elliot Anderson have been great. Sean Dyche has definitely steadied the ship at Nottingham Forest, and I would start to say, once they start feeling a bit more confident in the Premier League of survival, this is a competition that they're definitely going to focus on to try and win, especially with the owner that they have in Marinakis.
Have you ever got lost in a stadium?
Have I? Well, yeah,
like
as a
in
fan, I
ground?
think I have,
It's
but not as a player.
Oof. Especially in the United States, the grounds here are spacious.
16th place in this league phase. Meanwhile, Ludogorets, they're taking on PAOK today, Charlie, and I know you love her. Petar Sanic, she is the leading goal scorer in this competition.
Yeah, the Serbian international coming off a hat-trick versus Celta Vigo. They're unbeaten in their last 5. He's confident. Their new manager, Per Mathias Hogmo from Norway, has done a great job. And they're going against PAOK, 17th. They're looking to get a seeded knockout place against a good Zivkovic side. But this is Stanic. Nice PK, it's buried. Then look at this one. Touch, opens up, and again, bottom left. But you can see how nifty he is with the ball at his feet. Good positioning, and just a killer. Opportunistic, top player. I don't expect him to be at Ludogorets for much longer.
They're on the outside looking in, though, aren't they? Just 25th place they sit, Nico. The top 24 go through.
Can I ask you a question, Poppy?
Go on.
What club do you think he came from?
You know.
Nottingham Forest.
No. We
Nigel, you got it?
No.
Hold up. It's very funny when we say it in English. In a certain Balkan language, to the English ear, it sounds a little bit funny, and that's why we constantly say it like this.
Tisicet.
From Bačka Topola, Serbia.
Yeah.
Nigel's favourite team.
Tosica.
Let's go.
And what's the other one, Charlie, that you like? FCSB, but as the locals
Fetchesebe.
would pronounce, yeah.
There you go, Fetchesebe.
I
learned a lot,
My
listen.
man has grown.
I learned a lot from him.
Wow, I've untwisted that tongue. He's finally can speak.
Have you?
Lautaro.
All right, stay with us, everybody. Kickoffs for the early slate of matches are coming up for you across Europe in just a second. We'll be right back after this short break with the Golasso Show.
Play well. Just play well. Just play well. Just
hello and welcome to Bern, Switzerland. Europa League match day 6 tonight as young boys face the French giants Lille. It is a chilly night at the Wankdorf Stadion, but the crowd are in, and Gerardo Seoan's side have a job to do today to try and get into the top 24 Bern, Switzerland, the league phase. Europa League match day 6 tonight as young boys face the French giants Lille. Lille, meanwhile, the visitors are chilly night at the just outside the top 8 positions. That's an automatic spot to do today in the round of 16 to try and get into the top 24 Switzerland, the league phase. Europa League match day 6 tonight as young boys face the French giants Lille. Lille, meanwhile, the visitors are Marseille, but it is a strong side. 14 moves on the way shortly, but the league phase truly coming into its own now. Young boys 26th going into the latest match day and the final one of 2025. Lille 11th in the standings, with fellow Liga side Lyon top of the lot. Young boys were beaten by Aston Villa in their previous Europa League encounter, 2 down at half-time in the English Midlands, but they fought and could have come away with a point. Lille arrive here at the Wankdorf Stadion after defeating Dinamo Zagreb by 4 goals to 0 back in France. They've brought loyal support, and one of the past 2 decades top strikers with the greatest longevity in Olivier Giroud, who leads the line, the summer signing from Los Angeles FC. Young boys are missing a number of key players tonight. Let's see how they cope without them, although Chris Bedia leads the line, having scored 15 times this season. 2 teams who are in the Champions League phase in 24-25 meet in the Europa League 1 year on. Plenty of experience in both starting 11s here. Young boys make 3 changes to the team that was beaten by Aston Villa in their previous Europa League game. Chris Bedia, their top scorer, comes into play and attack, with Cordova dropping to the bench. Gregory Wurtrich comes in as centre-back, and Alan Virginius, who joined from Lille on a permanent deal in the summer, plays on the left wing for young boys. They are without midfielder Armin Gigovic, who's suspended. Key players like Fernandez, Montero and Fasnacht are absent for Gerardo Seoan's side here as the 2 head coaches embrace. Luis Benito, the 33-year-old captain of young boys, as a cloud of smoke drifts across the pitch after the flares let off in the away end of the stadium. 4th in the Swiss Super League at the minute, 8 points behind the league leaders. Some work to do if they are to go on and win the title. Lille, meanwhile, are fourth in Liga after their weekend victory against Marseille. They've had some impressive results against French football's top clubs this season. It is an all-Dutch team of officials led by Sander van der Eyck. Clay Ruperti is on VAR, and Benjamin Andre wears the captain's armband for the visitors, who are in changed colours tonight. So Lille line up like this, with Olivier Giroud leading the line in place of Hamza Igerman, who's absent today due to injury. There's a change at centre-back as Chancel Mbemba, summer signing from Marseille, gets the start. Nabil Bentaleb comes out of the middle of midfield from the last Europa League game. Aya Bouadi, who recently signed a new contract, having been linked with PSG, comes into the middle of the pitch. Igerman not the only absentee tonight for Lille. They're also without Matias Fernandes-Pardo, who is ill. André Gomez is not in the squad, wasn't registered in the Europa League 25. And Alexandro, who's been out with injury for a while, is still absent. You may have actually heard Sander van der Eyck there actually speaking to the two captains, saying that they were going to have to wait for the smoke to clear a little bit to get the game underway, and it looks like that is what is happening. 26th versus 11th in the Europa League phase. Young Boys versus Lille. The hosts here hoping to finish inside the top 24. Lille with aspirations, and rightly so, for a place in that top 8. They could finish the match day in those top 28 positions. Is Goy. It's out to Thomas Meunier. Mbemba faced his old club at Marseille at the weekend. Very experienced defender who was frozen out at Marseille last season, but given his chance with Lille. Romain Perrault, paging left back in this Lille side. To Boca Urza, the goalkeeper, shifted on by Bouadi. Now Meunier. Galal Macau. Lille also still without their right back Thiago Santos due to a knee injury. It's more game time for this man, Thomas Meunier, who's making inroads. Cow's with him. Dropped back by the Belgian. Haraldson. Cow. Giroud. Meunier's delivery had real purpose. Andre will try and keep this alive here for the French side. Correa. Lille, a club that finished 5th in Liga last season and got all the way through to the Champions League round of 16. They only missed out on a return to the Champions League on goal difference, having finished level on 60 points with Nice. First campaign in charge. And the 19-year-old Aya Bouadi He's allowed to just drift forward here on the artificial turf and drive. Has never scored in Europe and has never scored for Lille. Macau takes on his fullback and does well. Hacham does well to recover that, the left back. Macau, Haraldson, Meunier. Giroud's one of those in the middle and he's waiting for the cutback. Andre drives, Macau on the edge. Just having all the ball at the moment, Lille. Gerardo Seoane left Young Boys in 2021 after multiple league titles and had time in Germany with Bayer Leverkusen and Gladbach before his return just a couple of months ago. Given to Haraldson, huge mistake playing out. Marvin Keller, the goalkeeper, mighty relief. They're still not away here, Young Boys. Correa isn't sure as to who to shift that into, but a let-off. Marvin Keller playing that risky ball in field, just gave it straight to Haraldson. And he thought that Haraldson was really sharp. Bruno Genesio is a very experienced Liga manager, even prior to his appointment in the Lille dugout. Former Rennes and Lyon boss. Gathered by Berke Özer, who signed from Eyüpspor in Turkey. He's now a senior international. Although did leave the latest Turkey squad without permission, according to the Turkish FA, which was something of a big news story. Bouhaddi, Andre, lovely football again between those two, and Bouhaddi is just trying to scoot through the middle of the pitch, shoves it back to Andre again. Giroud, Correa keeps it alive, and his deflected effort won't quite run out for a corner. Andre does well to shut that down after Sandro Lupa did some good work in the middle of the pitch. Well, last season Young Boys finished third in the Swiss Super League, 12 points behind the eventual champions Basel, and they had an early exit in the Europa League as well, going out in the playoff round. Is Meunier. That third place finish last season enough for a Europa League playoff round position. After the Super League side did so well to reach the Champions League phase, although they failed to win any of their 8 games, losing every single one. Haraldson, nice take into his path. Young Boys too shut it down through Janko. Beaten by Aston Villa, Barcelona, Inter, Shakhtar, Atalanta, Stuttgart, Celtic and Crvena Zvezda. Only Slovan Bratislava also lost all 8 matches in the Champions League phase last season. They were narrowly beaten at Liverpool too.
35 en 11 partidos. Ok.
Es mucho.
Tiene el dato Giroud. Se entusiasma.
Y Giroud tiene siempre todos los datos.
Y tiene seguramente algún récord o algo
y si no lo ayuda,
para vencer, para quebrar.
Boadí, ya te digo por qué.
Haraldsson que entregó. Haraldsson que se dejó caer. No fue falta de Saidi Yanko, el futbolista del seleccionado de Gambia. Recupera bien la pelota, André. Está cerquita el Lille. Hasta aquí hemos dicho, está 11º, 9 puntos. Ganó 3, no empató, perdió 2. 10 goles a favor, 6 en contra.
Virginius. Macau, who can't play in the middle of the pitch, being used out on the right-hand side, timed his challenge well. In fact, he had some game time in midfield in the second half of the matchday 4 win over Dinamo Zagreb. Shut down by Meunier. Seo Felt's side gave a better account of themselves in the second half of the defeat to Aston Villa. The plan was to be more competitive. We've made changes, adapted the system to try and create more man-to-man situations defensively. But he said they were only braver on the ball in the second half, and it was too little, too late. Peck, who's that wide, and purposeful play here as Yanko's delivery into the middle is cut out by Mbemba. Dropped back by the fullback. Wurtrich. Haraldson in the way of him, the player in the number 10 position, wearing number 10 tonight for Lille. Macau won't quite reach Giroud. Damaging defeats of the weekend for Young Boys, losing 2-0 to Sion, and that's the reason that they're 8 points behind the league leaders, Basel. Here goes Virginius, and he will get there first, and he tries to take on Ngoy, but he's not going to get the decision he's looking for. Arm did come across from the centre-back.
Diálogo cordial entre federaciones y clubes. Traducción, algunos tal vez se vayan antes, otros después, y no, tal vez no vayan.
Sí, traducción, arréglense ustedes.
Algo así. Las nóminas que han otorgado hasta aquí, y no me quiero detener, fueron muy extensas, ¿no? Hay algunos equipos que incluso han nombrado a algunos futbolistas que están en la Copa Árabe con Vivo Virginius, como para tener también, ¿no?, solidez y al que esperas no llega, un reemplazo, pero son nóminas extensas. No tanto como la de Camerún, ¿no?, que tiene doble lista y demás, no me quiero meter en los líos.
Tiene tanto universo de jugadores, ¿no?
Del seleccionado camerunés que tiene como presidente a Samuel Eto'o. Pero bueno, han sido esas las listas para esta Copa Africana de Naciones. Francia parte y pica en punta como el equipo, la liga que más aportaría justamente a esa competición.
Sí, es una liga que tiene muchas nacionalidades de países africanos. y obviamente será una de las más afectadas.
Sale Mene, espera Boade. A correr nos iremos en la punta con el mencionado Félix Correa. Lo va a encarar a Yanko. Aquí vendrá Correa. Correa para Boade. Mucha libertad.
And they'll reset it to Berke Özür, who was signed in the summer as a replacement for Lucas Chevalier, who is now Paris Saint-Germain's #1 after a €55 million deal. In fact, some huge players left in the summer for Lille. Jonathan David, who scored in the Champions League last night for Juventus, got 25 goals for the French club last season before leaving on a free. Angel Gomez moved to Marseille on a free transfer as well. Then Chevalier, Bafodé Diakate, who joined Bournemouth, and Gabriel Gudmundsson, Leeds bound, generated some serious revenue in the summer transfer window. One back, and Virginia's told to run at his defender here. Mounier recovers his right back position. Lopan. Lawson. One back, and here goes Correa. Just slowed down as he charged for the penalty area. Didn't have a great deal of conviction about the way he was running with that. Bedia gets it out to Hadjam. Genius, Macau. Hadjam with some fancy footwork, and it won't quite break to a player in yellow and black. Giroud slightly hobbling, which is a concern. Lille dominating the ball so far. They've had 62% of it. Young boys yet to get a shot away down at the other end, on or off target. Correa. Ball out to Andres, cut out, and Virginia smooths it on for young boys. The side that came through qualifying, beating Slovan Bratislava. As it just was cut out before it reached Bedia. He scored in both legs of the 4-2 aggregate win over Slovan Bratislava to secure their place in the league phase. Ingalail Macau is caught. Good pressure from Hadjam. Well, he's one of those out there tonight. There are only 3 who have started here on a booking from a ban. Peck. Raveloson, and it was comfortable in the end for Berke Özür. Midfielder scored in the 3-2 win over Ludogorets earlier on in the league phase and tried to wrap his boot around that. Mbemba. Berke Özür. Ngoy. Moved on by Andre. It's back with Mbemba again. Very experienced central defender. Look out for Lille. Young boys look a little bit more set in their defensive shape. They've won it back now. Hadjam tries to open up the pitch. Dominic Peck playing in that number 10 role, just floating around the pitch at the moment, wearing number 13. Forward goes Malice. So without Gigovic, who likely would be playing an anchoring role in midfield were he not sent off against Pauk earlier on in the competition. It's really loose from Hadjam. But there's no Edmilson Fernandez at the moment, he's injured. And then the club revealed a long list of absentees tonight prior to kick-off. Montero and Christian Fasnacht, who's got 11 goals in 22 games, their second top scorer this season, and a man who normally gets lots of assists, is also unavailable. Haraldson. Icelandic international turns out again, Boadi. You can see why he's so highly rated, linked with a move to the English Premier League and most predominantly, in truth, in the French media, Paris Saint-Germain. Not that they're short of technically gifted central midfielders like João Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz and Warren Zaire-Emery. Here is Boadi again. Sitting in alongside the two centre-backs, meaning Romain Perrault can try and get forward. Hadjam.
2 horas, 18 minutos. A gente...
Just work back to Marvin Keller. Benito. Bedia. Muscle out of it. He's not really had a kick so far, Chris Bedia. Meunier allows that run to Macau's offside, and there's no excuse for being offside there. Bedia's down on the floor at the moment. Let's have a look here as he did battle. Might have actually banged his head as he went to ground. Tussle with Ngoy. There wasn't a great deal in that, although he might have had a little swipe at the end. Good battle between those two as Gerardo Seoane tries to show his players what he wants. Bedia has scored 6 times last season, but is the main man right now with 15 goals in the 25-26 campaign, 3 of those in Europe. Goes back to Keller. Benito, the captain. Lopa. Benito. Lovely ball in field to Virginius. Benito again. Cham was caught late by Meunier. Hadjam wants it, and the left back will get it. Virginius up against Meunier. Oh, he's done well, and he nearly got through. It was a vital touch from Lille Macau. Looking lively out on the left, Alan Virginius. Haraldson. The loss of this ball is hurried away by Mbemba. Kept in play by young boys. Peck. Virginius, they do stay on the ball, but give it straight back to Horário, who looks to carry. Oh, it's a brilliant pass. Correa. What a challenge that was. Still alive here for Perrault, but credit to Saida Yanko for the quality and timing and the strength of that challenge. Just powers through Felix Correa. Lille have a corner, and they do have a real aerial presence in there, as well as a quality delivery from Perrault, formerly of Southampton. And Mbemba, Giroud, Andre and Goy, all players to look out for. Andre is the player who got that away, and they're saying there was a deflection, not that the goalkeeper saw it. Boschum and Andre, the captain, is not happy. Now swinger from Perrault. It's always going to be difficult to generate the power under pressure, but it certainly came off of Peck's arm last. So it should have been a corner. Giroud will chase this down. It's hurried away by Keller. It's another loose kick from him. Well, Lille were also dominant when they beat Dinamo Zagreb on match day 5. Wingers Felix Correa and Lille Macau scoring prior to half-time. Igerman scored with 20 minutes to go, just prior to being withdrawn before Benjamin Andre sealed it 4 minutes from the end with a strike of his own. So they've beaten Brann, Roma and Dinamo Zagreb so far, Lille, and have been beaten by PAOK and Crvena Zvezda. Yanko trying to stay away from trouble here with Macau breathing down his neck. Peck nearly kept it in play. Is fouled. Oh, clever ball, Meunier darts into the gap, 3 in the middle, waiting for it. Oh, and Andre's effort is blocked near the goal line. Super football from Lille. It's that off-the-ball movement from Thomas Meunier, which has caught out young boys a couple of times down that side. Virginius. Benito. James unsure here, and Benito will clear it away. Urza. Unable to pick out a teammate, and a swift apology. Meunier saw the run of Andre, who hit it cleanly, but it was actually a defender in front of the goalkeeper. Well, it does technically count, I think, as a first shot on target for Lille tonight, even though it didn't require a goalkeeper save. Look to get it back, but it's just made a dart down the line. Bedia in the middle. Andre, Haraldson. Back in with the youngster again, who paraded a Lille shirt with the year 2029 on it prior to the win over Marseille. Symbolic of the contract extension he signed this week, although the young midfielder acknowledges he'll have to sit down with the president at the end of the season. See whether he stays or not. He's well aware of the rumours linking him with PSG. Flag's gone up. Up in the stands there, perhaps, the former Young Boys striker. Felix Correa putting in the challenge here. Didn't look like much, and I think Bruno Genesio might have a point. Felix Correa signed for €6 million in the summer from Gil Vicente. Clocking up the assists and has 4 goals already. Andre with the chest down. Pirro. Ngoy. And Pemba looking for the free player. Meunier. Felix Correa has actually come out to the right-hand side. There's been a switch of sides for the 2 Lille wingers. Peck moves it out. Malice again. As Janko to the byline. Nearly reached Virginius, who will persevere. Oh, was he brought down? Yes! Penalty kick. Bouhaddi was desperately trying to get back, and the former Lille man has won a penalty for Young Boys. And it's a straight red card. They're down to 10, it's a double whammy here for Lille. Bouhaddi must have been seen as to not be playing the ball.
Primero lo primero, dirán algunos, ¿no?
Primero acá.
En este contexto de Young Boys, uno imagina que...
Acá está a media máquina.
Exacto.
Lille acá hoy está a media máquina.
No puso para jugar a media máquina, ¿no? No es que rotó ni demás. A la búsqueda vendrá con el pase para Janko. Janko y el centro que va. Bien, Meunier, quedó el rebote, rebotó otra vez en Meunier, no logran sacarla. Aparece Vladimir Chinius. Para el Young Boys, justamente el ex Lille Virginius pescó un rebote de una pelota que no salía nunca y expulsado Bouhaddi. Bueno, el juez debe haber interpretado que no hay disputa de la pelota por la sujeción.
E impidió una ocasión manifiesta de gol. Tremendo, ¿no? Aquí Bouhaddi no calculó bien, ¿no? Como suele calcular en la universidad. Justo que hablábamos de él y justo que incurre en este error. Primero de desenfoque y después de concepto de juego. Estás en el área, tu rival se escapa solo para citarse mano a mano con el arquero frente a la portería. Eres una especie de último hombre allí y lo sujetas, te desentiendes de la disputa de la pelota y la regla es clara y no importa que sea penal y eso del triple castigo, acá no existe. La regla es clara y está bien sacada la tarjeta roja a Bouhaddi y aparte Olivier Giroud reclamó seguramente por este sentido y también se llevó su amonestación. Cuando estás a media máquina, Fabi, te pasan estas cosas. Una desatención tan grande que tuvo Lille en el corazón del área.
Livianísimo en este movimiento. Ahí le está explicando seguramente lo que ya expresaba Geraldine Carrasquero, ¿no? Es la famosa zona doxo. No hay disputa de pelota. Ahí está.
Y a quien enfocaban en las gradas recién era a Olivier Letang, ¿no? Directivo de este Lille, presidente del club, que debe estar muy preocupado porque su equipo no levanta en el partido y ahora tiene un contexto súper adverso.
Y Virginius, ¿no? Haciendo de las suyas contra su ex equipo. Partidos especiales, ¿no? Cuando te vas de un lugar en el que no pudiste dar la talla, cambia permanentemente el desafío de hacerse fuerte. Algo que ha conseguido. A todo esto Bedia para buscar el primero. Vendrá el zurdazo de Costa de Marfil. Atención. Auser Obedia. Va de zurda el marfileño. Esperando por la orden del juez en Berna. Preparado otra vez. Algo ocurre, alguien no se ha retirado. Yo no sé si Guadilla llegó a salir. Y es por eso, pero esta demora suele complicar y poner más nervioso al pateador. Como en el lejano oeste, el duelo individual. Media, Tapauser, Virginius. Otra vez el turco, fenomenal. Saca el penal y después el rebote para que esta historia siga 0-0 entre Young Boys y Lille.
Qué maravilloso que es el fútbol, y User demostrando otra vez su habilidad para atajar penales, como aquel día en el Olímpico de Roma, en esta misma UEFA Europa League, que atajó hasta 3 porque se repitió el penal. Y tapaba una y otra vez. Bueno, acá se estira hacia la derecha, ni siquiera con los brazos, con el cuerpo.
Centro al área y la revancha no llega de forma inmediata para Bedia, que ganó de arriba, pero también out. Se lamenta por el penal. Young Boys 0, Lille 0, pero ahora con 10.
Qué fantástico User, porque después reacciona y también tapa al momento del rebote. Es para festejarlo así. El turco mantiene al Lille en partido. Pobre Guadino, Fabi, justo que contábamos. Lo bueno dentro de lo malo, y esto ya es tono broma, es que va a tener más tiempo para estudiar, porque seguramente, tal vez hasta 2 partidos se pueda perder por la roja directa cuando Lille tenga que jugar en esta Europa League. Por ejemplo, Gigovic, que fue expulsado hace 2 partidos con Young Boys, no está hoy tampoco.
Al igual que Enzo Fernández. En el equipo hablamos de la baja de los locales. Y el otro que no está es Ebrima Cowley, al que veíamos hace un ratito en la tribuna. Estoy tratando...
Se prepara Arnaud Baudard. No sería la primera vez que juega esta temporada en caso de que User no pueda continuar.
Ahora, don Gerardo a trabajar el partido sabiendo que su equipo tiene la ventaja numérica. Cantidad de jugadores. En el resultado no, porque falló Baby el penal.
Puede que esta expulsión, y que se entienda lo que digo, pueda espabilar un poquito a Lille. Hay equipos que necesitan estos golpes.
Haraldsson peleando. Salida y media vuelta. Correa que devuelve. Giroud que tiró. Ojo con Giroud, ¿no? Está con amarilla. Un partido de desgaste. No sé hasta cuándo va a estar en el campo.
Y Gamane lesionado, además. Te puedes dar el lujo de perder a Olivier. Se vino Correa a la banda derecha. Pasó Mucó al centro del campo para mantener la estructura de 4-4. Y después Giroud, el único punta para el 4-4-1. Mucó ahora con Benjamin André en la sala de máquinas. Haraldsson se ha ido a la izquierda y Félix Correa a la derecha.
Bola larga para Virginius. En Goicuria es pelota Deuser que salvó. Allí está Berke.
Que ya da para hablar. Es una taja penales. Lo que hizo en el Olímpico de Roma, que fue el viral de esa semana, más esto, es una taja penales.
Sí, aquí de hecho seguramente terminó y dijo, bueno, ¿van a patear de nuevo o todavía no?
Estoy para que
claro.
patee de nuevo. ¿Sabes que cuando LILLE lo fue a buscar, contaban que se basaron en la Big Data? Y el arquero más parecido a Chevalier en todos los registros que encontraron fue Berkeuser.
Mira, me gustó ese detalle. Sobre todo si vas a mantener la misma idea de filosofía de juego, ¿no? Más allá de que obviamente lo primero para el arquero es esto: evitar que le hagan goles. Después lo otro, hacer salida, etcétera, etcétera. Pero así lo fueron a buscar al turco, que responde. Expulsado Boadé. Sandro López para pasar. Bianco que estrena. El pase se apunta. Desde aquí vendrá Perk. Detención del checo Park. En la pausa Park puso el centro. Pasó y le quedó a Hatkama. Cerca estuvo el zurdazo. Pide roce, no le dan.
Puede conceder algunas licencias en la marca, pero en ataque Hatkan es uno de los jugadores con más recursos que tiene John Boy, que acá a través del desequilibrio individual encontró el espacio para centrar, y en un no despeje por parte de LILLE, acá una pifia le abre la puerta de par en par a Hatkan para probar de volea. Agarró bien, la aló un poquito de más, pero iba a ser un golazo.
Así lo explica, lo analiza Geraldine Carrasquero. 5 minutos finales. Buena banda trajeron los Dogos, ese rincón.
Y van a necesitar más ruido
para alentar un equipo que quedó con 10. Perro. Miraba el pase, Mbemba no se la dio. Desde aquí Ngoy. Auser que saca. Pegó bien. Perro no va a llegar. Gana Yanko. Mbemba bien la puso al piso. André participa. Haraldson lo lanza a correr a Perro. Buena marca. Tirura ve correr. Virginius en la descarga. Y ahora Giroud en el juego. Vendrá a jugar Mocó. Félix Correa, lindo pase, 3 dedos. A ver, Giroud para la otra punta era. Levantó nunca la cabeza para advertir que picaba Mocó.
Que se escapaba solo porque una vez más Hatkan no volvía a tiempo. Bueno, cuando quieras te cuento lo que contaba Marcelo.
Por favor.
Acá nadie puede tener una expulsión porque Marcelo no está jugando, ¿no?
Hatkan va a jugar. Pero no sería el primero Hatkan de una lista de laterales que van mejor de lo que vuelve, y algunos siempre piensan, ¿por qué no ponerlo más arriba directamente, ¿no? Y no otorgarle esa responsabilidad defensiva. Bianco tiró. Pick que viene. Pausa y rodeo. Pick para atrás. Centro al área. Raveloson. Salió User. Va a impactar el de Madagascar de lleno. Hatkan la gana. En la pausa está Hatkan. Virginius. Tras la expulsión, el dominio del equipo aurinegro. Loper. Hatkan. Benito. Butrich que sube. Tiró cruzado y habrá pelota entonces.
Quedó alguien lesionado.
Mira.
André, creo. Malas noticias para LILLE.
¿Algo más le falta a LILLE en este primer tiempo?
Y no vimos el momento en el que se hace daño. Lo que sí vimos es una buena intervención de User otra vez, porque más allá de lo que decías, que Raveloson no logra contactar de lleno, si User no salía a achicarle allí, podía complicarle posiblemente el pique de la pelota, aunque Raveloson no contactara. Insisto, salió con los puños y se quitó ese problema de encima. Aquí está, es un pisotón. lo que le ocurrió a Benjamin André.
¿Y qué decía Marcelo?
Bueno, que en parte eso de que no tenía tan en claro los conceptos defensivos no era tanto su culpa, sino que él jugó al futsal hasta los 15 años. Tuvo 2 años en primera de Fluminense y de ahí al Real Madrid.
Directo.
En un salto meteórico.
López al arco.
And had Keller concerned. But Genius, good pressing, and Correa doesn't get his pass right into Giroud. We can see what it means when the striker goes and presses the goalkeeper so effectively like that. Young boys are just not comfortable at all getting out. Little layoff. Lawson weaving through, can't find Peck. And the flag's up anyway. There's going to be 2 additional minutes at the end of the half. One would have had every right to think there might be more after the long delay around the penalty, but Gerardo Seoane, and we've seen Betty just drift offside there. Giroud's headed down. Macau, Correa, Meunier, back with Correa again. Nice exchange, Macau, battling, Pirro, Giroud's in the middle, oh that's his kind of chance. Flags up anyway, Giroud was beyond the last man when that came in. Not much in it, but yes, he does look offside. And actually, the defender got across to get a touch on that as Giroud leapt well. Vutrish, Benito. It's him with the Swiss defender signed from Sturm Graz in the summer. Half-time whistle. Well, the referee's been at the centre of the match's major flashpoint. The Chris Bedia penalty saved by Burkhardt Özür on 35 minutes. The awarding of that coming after Aya Bouani brought down Virginia's throw on goal, and he was shown a red card having failed to play the ball. Bedia has had a couple of other openings. Burkhardt Özür has been called upon to make a few other saves. But Young Boys now with the man advantage will see and feel there's an opportunity here despite the missed penalty. At the break in Bern, it's Young Boys 0, Lille 0. Welcome back to the Wankdorf Stadion in Bern, Switzerland, where the players for Lille and Young Boys are re-emerging for the second half of this Europa League encounter. It will be interesting to see if Lille are doing anything tactically here different at the start of the second half, given that red card in the first half, as Olivier Giroud, already on a yellow, is in discussions with the referee Sander van der Eyck. But he has sent off Ayoub Bouadi already. And that is why those travelling supporters are hoping now that the team can fight and can come away from this game with something. Booker Özer's penalty save, the standout moments of the first half if you're joining us late. But it looks like no changes at half-time. Lille were dominant on the ball in that first half, but that figure came down as Young Boys exerted pressure with the man advantage. Young Boys have the chance to try and make the most of the fact it's 11 against 10. Knowing a victory, despite being 15 places below Lille in the standings, would take them level with them in the Europa League table on 9. Bedia shifted out to Virginius, who won the penalty kick. Yes. Options in the middle, it's away by Mbemba. Hajam. Giroud can't get out. Haraldson, good start from Young Boys. Flicked out to Virginius. Peck. This is nice football. Janko just pops it in towards Bedia. And Olsen on the edge of the penalty area with the effort. Rodassioan. His team made that poor start against Villa that the team defended too poorly. Well, here got a real chance to exert pressure. The last group stage / league phase campaign in this competition was 2021, and they ended up in the round of 16, Young Boys. Doesn't quite reach Virginius. And Correa shifts it back to Ngoy. Correa goes back to Ngoy. Lille are a club with good European pedigree, and in fact, in the Champions League era, they've qualified for that competition on 9 different occasions, including last season. Part of the reason for their success last season under Bruno Genesio was just how defensively solid they were. In Liga, only Paris Saint-Germain conceded fewer goals than them. Peck turns, trying to break down this rigid Lille back line. Janko cuts in. Bedia. Janko, pops back out to Bedia. Can't quite get the shooting angle. Andre tangles him up, and he still gets it away. And it's just wide for Young Boys. Well, it was so persistent from Bedia. It was a handball appeal in the middle of all that. But Young Boys played on. Bedia did really well to get some kind of shooting angle as he wriggled clear of Andre and Perrault. They're asking for handball. but it is not forthcoming. Well, a sign of things to come, perhaps, for the remaining 40-plus minutes. Peck has kept that in. The whole of the ball did not go over the line despite the claims of Perrault. Yanko. You can see how young boys can impose themselves. Centre-backs moving into the opposition half. Moved on by Benito. Ajam. Haraldson. Giroud gives it away. Virginius. And held by Berke Özür. We can't help but wonder what the thinking is here for Bruno Genesio in terms of making changes into this second half. Virginius certainly looks like young boys' most dangerous attacking player. Olivier Giroud on a couple of occasions now has lost the ball when it's been played up to him. And yes, they don't have Hamza man on the bench due to injury, but I wonder if there could be a change in that position. Just into this second half. Perrault tried to bend that in first time to Giroud, but miscues it. Vurtish. Yanko. And it's good running here. Malas tracked all the way by Chancellor Mbemba. Benito, young boys captain. Olsen, the ball in towards Darian Malas. Peck. Oh, and a big appeal for handball from young boys. Referee had a great view of it and waved it away. Ajam's cross into the keeper, and now the questions will continue. We wonder if Clay Ruperti is going to have a prolonged look at this. It does hit the arm of Andre. He's really close to the ball. Let's see if something comes of that. Peck. They've checked it, and the check is over, so there will be no penalty to young boys. Virginius. Benito is set to with the ball in his hand, but they'll have to build again, young boys. Yanko. Peck. You can see young boys scoring a rather scrappy winning goal here, as they are getting the ball into the box. Bedia can't get around Mbemba. Well, there was the appeal for the handball by Andre, but even he had a nervous look in the direction of the referee. Despite the fact they lost all 8 games in the Champions League phase last season, young boys did beat Galatasaray in the playoff round. They have claimed some notable European results in recent seasons. Beat Manchester United here back in the 21-22 Champions League. Beaten by Leverkusen the campaign prior in the Europa League. Perraud's cross is good and directed by Giroud. Good improvisation. Few players have scored as many spectacular goals from this kind of position down the years in European football, and Olivier Giroud wasn't far away from making that 1-0 Lille. Up towards Bedia. Hadjan. Goal scoring and assisting left back. Down the years in European football, and Olivier Giroud wasn't far away from making that 1-0 Lille. Vurtwish. Up towards Bedia. Hadjan. Goal scoring and assisting left back. Smart play. Vurtwish. Janko. This is a take on Haraldson and hangs it up nicely in the direction of a genius, but Benjamin Andre with a superbly controlled ball back to his goalkeeper. Lille fourth in Liga at the moment. They've won 3 league matches in a row. They'd beaten Paris FC prior to their victory over Dinamo Zagreb. And since then, they've enjoyed 1-0 wins over Le Havre and the weekend victory over Marseille. It was Marseille's first league defeat in 6 weeks. Ethan Mbappe's extraordinarily composed goal, deciding it on 10 minutes. Here's Perraud. And a big challenge. Santo Laupa came flying across. Haraldson. Christian Fasnacht is a major loss in the attacking midfield possessions for young boys tonight. Had 18 months at Norwich City prior to joining roughly a year ago. Good ball over the top. Brought down by Malice. Oh, and he tried to whip it in. And Bedia did make the run. Gerardo Seoane didn't like the style of that delivery back into the box. Way too much on that. In the hands of Meunier. He's been a Lille player now for roughly a year. Haraldson. Good ball. Perraud! That's a chance. Romain Perraud for Bruno Genesio's Lille. On his favoured left foot, running onto it. Completely miscues the strike. Well, it's a couple of chances they've had on the counter-attack now, and that is Lille's best route to goal, without question. Andre is back to his feet after a little coming together with Lauper, who catches him with his shoulder. Referee just has some sorting out to do. Ball given back to Marvin Keller, goalkeeper called up in the latest Swiss national team squad, but he's yet to make his debut. Gregor Kurbel and Von Vogo are ahead of him right now. More smoke drifting out of the pitch as switches it out to Janko. Here's Benito. Virginius, nice take, and his running is purposeful, and it's guided in. Darian Males manages to sneak in front of his defender, and on the hour, Young Boys lead in Bern. It's his first ever goal in European football. This is being checked by the video assistant referee, perhaps for offside. Let's have a look. Well, it came into him from Virginius. There was a deflection on its way through to the winger, but was he in an offside position at the exact moment that this left the left boot of Alain Virginius, who may well have just created the opening goal against his former club? The check is over, the goal stands. It is Young Boys who lead the game. Darian Males, scorer of 9 goals last season, has his 4th of this campaign and his first in UEFA club competition ever. You felt they were going to make that advantage count. This man advantage against Lille. Now they're in a tough spot here, the visitors from France. Foul by Hadjam, so it's going to be a free kick here to Lille. Well, Olivier Giroud is the player down, and it looks like he's been caught by the forearm of the Young Boys fullback. Being told there is a red card check here for the video assistant referee. That first angle wasn't particularly conclusive. Did Hadjam swing out an arm into the face of Olivier Giroud? It's more like Hadjam was kind of putting his arm out to protect the ball, but it was high. Giroud is being treated, it is still being checked. And in fact, the check is over. There's going to be no red card here, as far as we understand. Yeah, check over, and I think that would have been harsh for Johan Hadjam to have been dismissed for that. Bit of fortune about the way it ran to Darian Males, but his deft touch guided it beyond Berke Özür. And young boys will feel they have the lead that their persistence has deserved. Moved back by Mbemba. And Booker Özcan and Benjamin Andre move it along. Here's Mbemba. Good pressure from young boys. Giroud's back into it. They were down to 9 for the moment there, Lille. Head injury meaning that Giroud had to wait. This foul on Marles by Hakan Arne Haraldsson, who hasn't been able to produce his usual effective playmaker work given the situation that Lille have got themselves into. They're going to make a change because Sariba Dioan is coming on. Moved back by Mbemba. Comes out to Perrault. And Haraldsson tries to get on the end of it. And Goy. They're still waiting to make their change. Haraldsson. Goy again, has Andre for support, will switch it out to Perrault. Yanko got in a bit of a tangle. Has managed to come away with it, or there's a triple change on the way here as Andre misses his challenge. And Peck has 3 players in yellow joining this attack and more arriving now. Hajam! It's the second time that he's pulled a shot wide. Just ran to him. That is so similar to his first half effort wide of the post. Dio Unis coming on for only his 3rd appearance of the season. The left winger. Olivier Giroud is also being withdrawn to freshen up the attack, with Zama Sarawi coming on, and Macau would appear as the final player off. So Correa, Macau and Giroud all withdrawn. Ethan Mbappe, the weekend hero, who got the winning goal against Marseille, younger brother of Kylian, is into the action here. Perrault still running. Romain Perrault from his own penalty area. So Rawi, Iaoun has done well and works it across, and Hadjam plays it out to Virginius. Could have actually worked that down the line to Bedia rather than take that touch. Andre. Sarawi. Iaoun is kind of playing up front at the moment in that Giroud position. We can see Ethan Mbappe's gone out to the right-hand side. He did that when he came on against Dinamo Zagreb, when he was so effective in that 4-0 victory. Young boys yet to turn to their bench. Virginius, who wouldn't want to come off at the moment. He's been so effective. Bedia is the only player in the middle. More are starting to arrive now, including Peck. It's down by Andre. Well covered off by the captain. Marles, the goal scorer, hangs it up. Not entirely convincing from Ethan Mbappe. Outfield player called up to the latest Swiss national team squad in the young boys team at the moment was Fastnacht, who returned to the national team setup this year after a long absence, but he's out today. Montero, who's also unavailable for those in yellow and black, was last called up in September, but Alvin Sanchez had a call up as recently as March, the attacking midfielder wearing number 10. And here comes the double change for young boys into the final 19 minutes of the game. Sergio Cordova and Alvin Sanchez are going to be the first changes for the Swiss Giants. Ngoy and Bemba. Andre. Sarawi sets it back. Andre pops it over the top. Iaoun can't get there. So now the changes, and Darian Marles, having scored the game's only goal, is coming off. Get a good reception as he leaves the stage, directing this ball home roughly on the hour mark. So Alvin Sanchez will play in his position. Summer signing from Lausanne, and there's other change sees Cordova come on. Peck's come out as well. In fact, there's been two big changes in the attack there. So it looks like they're now playing with two strikers, young boys, in Sergio Cordova and Chris Bedia, who's already out there. Yet you can see them in their shape, 4-4-2 in essence. Certainly out of possession anyway. One of them will drop deeper. Perrault back to Mbemba. Jonathan David has been a huge miss for Lille this season. 25 goals from his 49 games, but it wasn't just that. Superb link-up player, the Canadian international. He got 12 assists. That was more than any other Lille player last season. Ultimately, he was pure output for Bruno Genesio's side. Player down at the moment, and it is Virginius Sarawi. Poor ball. Now Perrault. Bruno Genesio admitted his side wouldn't necessarily be used to the bounce and flow of an artificial pitch. Sarawi tries to dance across it, but they'll now get help to Virginius. Well, looks like he just pulls up there. And that's a big loss for Young Boys because he's been such a willing runner. Created the game's only goal so far, won the penalty. Rodri Smith, the Swiss youth international fullback, is set to come on for his first appearance in the Europa League this season. Maybe they're just looking for defensive reinforcement down that side, but these supporters are close to a big win in this league phase. Confirmation of the change that sees Smith come on. Nabil Bentaleb, meanwhile, as Virginius makes his way off, is about to come on. The Algerian midfielder, who played a stunning pass to set up Ethan Mbappe's winning goal at the weekend against Marseille, comes into anchor midfield. And the sacrifice is that Hakan Arne Haraldsson's guile and craft in the final third is now off of the pitch. This could be a damaging defeat for Lille, should it stay this way, because two really difficult final fixtures. They go to Spain next on match day 7 to take on Celta Vigo before hosting the German Bundesliga club Freiburg at the end of next month. There's a time of the season in late January where the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League match days go back-to-back in terms of weeks. And all teams on match day 8 kicking off simultaneously. Young Boys' plan, and they were relatively open about this. Captain Luis Benito spoke of it after the defeat at Aston Villa, was to try and frustrate them at Villa Park. Referee doesn't want any time wasting here, and looks like a high challenge from Ngoy, but the point at the moment. Referee plays to hurry things up. Raised arm by Keller. Ryan Revel-Olsen. Young Boys' plan, and they were relatively open about this. Captain Luis Benito spoke of it after the defeat at Aston Villa, was to try and frustrate them at Villa Park. Looks like a high challenge from Ngoy, but referee plays on. Ryan Revel-Olsen is the player who went down. Comes out to Sanchez, who weaves, and looked like he might have been nudged over at one point there. They were certainly appealing behind the goal, Young Boys supporters. They are checking it for a penalty. Out to Sanchez, who weaves, and goes straight like he might have been nudged over at one point there. They were certainly appealing behind the goal. Back up and running. Young Boys supporters. They are checking it for a penalty. Well, risky challenges went in there. Roman Perro was one of those trying to deal with, and Alvin Sanchez and his marauding run. The referee just gets the game back up and running. The check is over. Nicely worked, Lorpa. Well, risky challenges went in there. Roman Perro was one of those trying to deal with, and Alvin Sanchez and his marauding run. Bedia drifting beyond the last man. Olsen. Nicely worked, Lorpa. Infield, Bedia, Cordova up with him. And the flag is up. He looked onside, didn't he, Bedia? Bedia drifting beyond the last man. Here's the challenge from Perro. That is extremely risky. Less kind referee might well have blown for that one and given Young Boys their second penalty of the night. It was the challenge from Perro. That Lille is still extremely risky. With 10 minutes to go, Sarawi, Mbappe. But there's now the threat of Young Boys on the counter-attack as Lille commit to trying to get the equaliser. And Young Boys their second penalty of the night. Andre, Lille are still in this with 10 minutes to go. Sarawi sees a runner, here's Sanchez, but there's now the threat of Young Boys on the counter-attack as Lille commit to trying to get the equaliser. In extreme discomfort holding his arm. Olsen. And in fact, it is Luis Benito. Here's Sanchez, but his right hand brushed out of the way. This is the push from Perro. Mbappe is in extreme discomfort holding his arm. Former Real Betis fullback. It is Luis Benito accidentally stands on his right hand. I think not to have been punished in real time at least. Maybe the push from video assistant felt it wasn't one to overturn. Really gambled there, didn't he? Former Real Betis fullback. Fortunate, I think, not to have been punished in real time at least. Maybe the video assistant felt it wasn't one to overturn. Through the smoke, it is Nabil Bentaleb. Perro. Andre. Well, Bruno Genesio was asked about finishing the top 8, and he said that is still mathematically possible, provided we win in Bentaleb. Believes his team have put themselves in a bad situation by losing a couple of matches already in the league phase. About finishing the top 8, and he said that is still mathematically possible, provided we win on the far side of the field at the moment. Believes his team have put themselves in a bad situation by losing a couple of matches already in the league phase. Fall by Mbappe, almost hard to see on the far side of the field at the moment. Throw in. And Bemba. Straight out for a Lille throw in. Perro. And Bemba. Moved on by Bentaleb. Perro. Trying to leave 3 at the back so their fullbacks can get forward when they have possession. Here's Andre in the build-up. Moved on by Bentaleb. And Bemba. Back out to Perro. Trying to leave 3 at the back so Sarawi can get forward when they have possession. Nearly got that back. Here's Andre in the build-up. And there's a player down now for Mbemba. Young Boys, and it looks back out to Yanko, who's on the deck. Sarawi. Well, Bruno Genesio praised his team for the way they defended their lead against Marseille at the weekend, having scored early. And there's a player down now for... But now it's the opposition here who are trying to hold on. Yanko's on the deck, coming off now, and Tongi Zukru. Well, Bruno Genesio praised his team for the way they defended their lead against Marseille at the weekend, having scored early. But now it's the opposition here who are trying to hold on. Yanko's coming off now, and Tongi Zukru is coming on, as is the right back, Ryan Andrews. It was a €3 million signing from English Championship side Watford in the summer. Betty is also coming off, so striker for centre-back to add another player in there, because young boys know they're close to a third victory. Andrews, an England under-20 international previously. He was at Watford from the age of 9 before he left in the summer, age 21. He goes in at right back. And another change here as Thiago Santos, coming back from his knee injury, enters the action. Replaces Meunier, that's like for like, but he'll be hoping to get forward into the dying embers of this here. Bentaleb, oh, right across the face of goal. It's the kind of delivery that Olivier Giroud would have loved. Smith. Dealt with by Mbappe. Free kick for the foul on Bentaleb. Thiago Santos. Sanchez. Lawson in his stride has the run of Ryan Andrews for support. Young boys and Lille have now both used all 5 substitutions available to them. Nodded down, Sanchez, drifting. Hadjam, Sanchez. That's great work from Benjamin Andre. He does win the goal kick for Lille. Could be a massive victory, one of the biggest for Gerardo Seoane, the 47-year-old boss, upon his reappointment back in October. Won 3 league titles in as many seasons in his first stint at Young Boys. And perhaps he is turning things around in Bern as well. Olivier Giroud still feeling the effects of that arm into his face earlier from Hadjam. Pot around the corner by Sanchez, lovely ball into Andrews. Keeping it tight here, young boys. They have had some goal frenzies this season, even since match day 5, where they played out a 4-4 draw with Servette in the Swiss Super League. Conceded a decisive equaliser 6 minutes from the end. But holding strong here against the 10 men of Lille, who just cannot fashion a chance. Hadjam protects that twice and continues to make his moves. Flag is up. Rodri Smith didn't hold the line. Seoane adamant that he was onside. It's close, it's certainly close to Romain Perrault, but difficult to tell with the naked eye. Chancel Mbemba. 2 minutes of the 90 remaining for Lille. Remember, this is a team that won its opening 2 games, including that victory at Roma, thanks to Håkan Arne Haraldsson's goal. The Børke penalty save. They're headed for a 3rd defeat in 4 in the Europa League, to largely derail their ambitions of finishing in the top 8. Here's Mbemba. Thiago Santos. Hurried away. I'm sure we'll hear a frustrated Bruno Genesio at full time. Won't be using this as an excuse, but spoke pre-match about the difference of the synthetic pitch, how the game's faster, the ball bounces differently. But said his side are prepared to adapt, and really the red card for Aya Bouwadi prior to half-time has been the damaging blow for them here. Cordoba. Early ball, nearly finds Smith in the middle. And Nabil Bentaleb will carry. That was a yellow card for Zukru, by the way. Lovely turn. Sarawi. Diaounis trying to weave his way through here, and Young Boys shut it down at the expense of a corner as we move into the first of 4 additional minutes. Well, the teenage forward on for a rare appearance here. With no Hamza Igeman to turn to up front, nearly got through. Mbappe on the corner. Does have an excellent delivery on him. Deep from Mbappe. Players will stay forward here. Andre down. Sarawi. Tackled by Sanchez, who looks to get going. Chance on the counter-attack here for Young Boys. Andrews has found himself in the left-back position, running forward. And he eventually loses the ball. Ngoy. A chaotic final couple of minutes now in Bern. Sarawi's looked really lively since he came on. Ethan Mbappe wiped out in the build-up. Sarawi trying to take on Young Boys all by himself, but they do eventually get the tackle in. But that's panic defending. Oh, extraordinary. It's a second yellow card for Tanguy Zukru. He'd been booked a moment ago and then gets another yellow card for fouling Mbappe off of the ball. And Young Boys are also now down to 10 men. The concern here that Mbappe was about to break through. He might argue it was worth it if they come away with the win, but he'll also miss Young Boys' next Europa League fixture against another French side, Lyon. 10 versus 10 for the final moments. The goalkeeper, Børke Özil, is forward. Mbappe is up and now on the corner kick. Wants to meet it, doesn't he, Özil? A lot riding on this Mbappe delivery. It's another deep one. Andre always seems to be the player to meet it. No goalkeeper, but no problem. They'll have it back, and Thiago Santos weaves away from Sanchez. Andre has it back again, the captain. Suspect will go beyond the 4 added minutes because of the red card. Sarawi, Mbappe. Sarawi again. Looked like that cross wasn't really going anywhere. Nabil Bentaleb. 10 against 10 looks more even. And Lille are building. Young boys want a free kick. Mbappe's cross over and behind. And that will take us beyond the minimum 4 added minutes. Meanwhile, there's a player down. Bentaleb, as he played that pass, just catch his man, and then the disappointment of Mbappe's final delivery. Alvin Sanchez is the player injured. We're not being told there's a check for a red card here because Bentaleb was just playing his pass and catches him. It's certainly going to be a painful one for Alvin Sanchez. Seoane close to a statement win. Can they get this one over the line? Sanchez needing treatment. Wonder if there will be a few more seconds worth of play upon the full-time whistle. Prior to the full-time whistle, I should say. Because we had the 4 added minutes, but there was a big stoppage for the red card for Tanguy Zukru. Already used all their subs. They could be down to 9 here. But they won't be for long. You never know, the referee could just blow and stop the match. Four. Because Sanchez is out of the game here. He wants 2 banks of 4. They've gone from 11 players to 9 in the space of a few minutes here, young boys. And this doesn't look good, does it, for Alvin Sanchez, whose knees certainly seem to buckle. But those supporters dreaming of a massive win. You could argue their biggest in the Europa League phase this season. Yes, they've beaten FCSB away and Ludogorets at home. But this is a Lille side that are doing so well in Liga right now in France. Hopefully his players would have got the message by now. Gerardo Seoane. Chris Bedier's save penalty feels like a lifetime ago. Seoane doesn't like the fact that his injured players being rushed off the pitch. Throw into young boys. Sanchez been told, I think, not to try and re-enter the field of play, even though he wants to help his team see this over the line. It's out, Lille throw in, now or never. They may not have the required time here. Andre, brave pass, Ngoy. Big challenge. Rodri Smith shuts down Thiago Santos and prevents them from attacking. Santos hurt in the process. Well, it's been a really messy end to the game. But Lille have been beaten in Bern. What a massive win for Gerardo Seoane. The Swiss side got their winning goal on the hour mark. Darian Males, the player to nip in and meet a low cross from Alan Virginius against his old club. And look at the smiles after a difficult start to the season. Young boys are picking up results. And against Ethan Mbappe and co, this is one of their most notable. They finished the game with 10 men after the red card for Zukru, but Lille played most of the match, roughly an hour with 10 men, after the first half red card for Ayab Bouadi, who gave away a penalty. Chris Bedia stepped up, brilliant stop from Burka Özür to keep it out and keep the score at 0-0 at the time. But young boys would find their way through, and they move level onto 9 points with Lille in the Europa League standings. A major boost for them in their ambitions to finish inside the top 24 and progress beyond January in this competition. Despite the best efforts of Burka Özür and his stunning penalty save, the visitors are beaten. It finishes Young Boys 1, Lille 0.
Tchau.